What's up, Edmonds? It's Zach McDonald, your real estate agent, and I got our 98020 real estate market update for August 2022. As we're jumping into the stats here, I think the big observation I'm seeing and making here is that we're starting to see, I think, a little bit of acceptance among buyers and sellers about what's really happening in the housing market. Buyers, I think, are accepting the fact that interest rates are a little bit higher. Sellers are also accepting the fact that maybe they're not going to sell their house for as much as their neighbor, and that's okay. They're still going to be selling for quite a bit more. But as we look at the data, I think we're going to see some of those trends. So new listings in 98020, 21 this last month, which is less than last month and also less than we saw last year. So 27.6% down. Again, 8 listings, but still quite a big drop off. Pending sales up from last month, but down a lot from last year. So last year we had 29 new listings and 30 pending sales. This year, 21 and 17. So we're seeing still a little bit of an uptick in the supply, but not as much as we've seen over the past few months, which is good, starting to stabilize a little bit there. Closed sales, 11, which is down from last month, but even more down from last year. So 22 closed sales versus 11 this year. So big drop there. Days on market though, about the same, 10 days versus 9. So a little bit of an increase, but houses are still selling relatively quickly in Edmonds, specifically 98020. Median sales price, this is big, up 18.3%. That's big, that's good news. You're selling for $1,115,000 in 98020 median sales price versus less than $950 last year. So that's a big jump. And average sales price over $1.5 million, almost $1.6 million in 98020, which is up 44.4%. That's huge. That's huge. And even though the market's shifting and slowing down a little bit, right? And maybe people aren't paying over asking price as much, the prices that people are asking, they're getting pretty close to. And that's an encouragement. I think some of the other suburbs of Seattle and other places in Snohomish County are not experiencing the same thing. Some places are seeing some bigger drop-offs. In fact, Snohomish County is actually seeing less than asking price on average of their original asking price. Now, percentage of list price received, 2.2% over asking price. So houses aren't selling as much over asking price, but they are selling over asking price on average in Edmonds. Inventory of homes, this is a big difference here. Went from 12 houses for sale to 27 houses for sale, which is the same as last month. So I mentioned things are starting to stabilize a little bit in 98020. And we're seeing that with the supply numbers too. 1.8 months of supply, and that's about the same, 1.7 last month. And I think for Edmonds homeowners, houses have been sitting on the market a little bit, right? If you're trying to get what the neighbor got maybe in March or April, but we're still seeing year over year houses selling for a lot more. So I think the encouragement here is if you're trying to sell your house, you need to sell it, you want to sell it, you're still able to cash in. And it's a good decision when you look at it that you held on to it from last year to this year, right? A lot of people are thinking about selling in the spring and summer. Of course, this year it was great if you sold in the late winter, early spring, right? Hindsight's 2020, but still year over year, if you were choosing between, a summer to this summer, you're definitely in the black, so to speak. So I think that's an encouragement. I think for buyers, you are able to here, if a house is on the market for 10 days, you're probably paying closer to asking price or maybe even getting a little discount on the asking price, which is, as a buyer, it's just nice to know what you're going to pay. But I am seeing opportunities across Snohomish County, and I think those opportunities are going to find themselves here into 98020, where you can buy maybe contingent on the sale of a house, right? Or you can not compete. What? Buy a house without competition. I think you also have a little bit more options, right? So if there's 27 houses versus 12, that's a lot more options. I think there's still a little bit more what I would call balance than there used to be, but it's still definitely more of a seller's market. So if you're trying to buy in Edmonds, expect that there's going to be some competition still potentially on some of the really good ones. And as a seller, I think just realistically, house might take a few weeks to sell. It might even take a month. But if you have a good price, a price that is in line with the shifting market, I think you're not going to have any issues selling, and you're still going to get a really good price for your house. Thanks so much for watching my Edmonds 98020 real estate market update as we look back at the stats from last month. If you want to talk about buying or selling in Edmonds, I'd love to be a resource for you. It's my hometown. I love it. And if you want to continue to follow along with these updates on a regular basis, please subscribe to the channel.